Diddle 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 Ha! Oh, internet, yes, internet. What up, internet? How you doing? How's everybody doing out there? Welcome to the show. It's Friday. Ha ha! Yeah. I'm happy to say it's Friday. Are you happy to say it's Friday? I never even really know what day of the week it is. One thing I do know, it's Mr. Brown time. Mr. Brown time. It's Mr. Brown time, everybody. Happy Friday. Somehow we all made it to the end of the beginning of the end of the week. And that's exciting for some reason. I don't know. It's like, every day is a work day for me, so it just feels like the same old day to me more often than not. So, not to sound rude, but I just work every day, so... But happy Friday to those of you out there that are looking forward to either a lovely weekend off or a lovely weekend of working. Because I know all my industry friends out there are gearing up right now for the big weekend, making those big weekend sales. People out there eating, having steak dinners and all that kind of crazy stuff. And, it just popped into my head. I realized that tomorrow is a St. Patrick's Day, so would also like to give a big heads up to all my restaurateur industry friends, servers, bartenders, line cooks, garde manger. Are you the broiler man? Are you the sauté man? Are you the sous chef? Are you the kitchen manager? Are you the floor manager? Are you the food and beverage manager? Get ready, because it's going to be a crazy weekend, you guys. And if you aren't one of those people, just a subtle reminder from a good friend of yours, just take it a little easy this weekend. I know there's some people out there going full amateur hour, you know what I mean? So try to keep it to a dull roar and stay safe, and take an Uber when you need to, or a whatever car service, like a taxi or something, like whatever it's got to be. Just keep it safe out there. That's all we want. We just want a happy, festive weekend, right? And I say we, I don't know, we like the world, you know what I mean? Just like everybody wants a good time. So feel free to have a good time however you like to do it. How we're going to do it is we're going to have a birthday party for the little ladies. Victoria's nieces are all coming over, and there's going to be a little birthday celebration with some cake and some pizza, and, that kind of stuff. So that's how we're going to be celebrating this weekend, although the chickening shall continue with a lot of construction over the weekend, so there will be a bunch of that stuff going on. And there'll be a lot of things happening, because I took a look at the old weather report there, and it sounds like tomorrow is going to be beautiful. Sunday, maybe some hard sideways rain coming down. So, but you guys know I got my I have my full-on rain gear, so I'm not worried. I'm not too worried about a little bit of. I'm not too worried about a little bit of cold. You know what I mean? A little bit of cold, a little bit of wet, not a big deal. So, but it's going to be a lovely weekend. I get to spend it with lovely Victoria. We're going to have, sounds like we're going to have some fun and do some hard work. So I look forward to that. I look forward to the weekend, because that means that Victoria is going to be here, and I enjoy that immensely. So that's what's going on in my neck of the woods. Let's see what's going on in your neck of the woods. We got Candy Overhauls first to the chat today. Moderator Extraordinaire coming in first to the chat, followed by Mellow Moogle, and coming in third Frank Dominguez, what's happening, my man? How you doing? Good to see you. We've got a Daryl Dimer in the chat. I don't know where he went. I'm trying to scroll through here. We got the BC Fish Room up in the place, otherwise known as Nick. Good to see you. Leonie Ballantyne, what's going on? Freshman Aquatics. David Cummings. Schwame Shrimp. Schwame Shrimp. Right on. Big Texas Tanks, what's going on? Good to see you. Magic 21 Mom, how you doing? Good to see you. Aqua Naturalist. Rickhab Harris, what's up? I'm sure I say your name wrong every single time. Silver Harrows is here. All glass in the sink. Hello. What's up? I'm super... Well, hold on. I'm getting a phone call. Phone call coming in. Caller, you're on the show. Oh, we got a caller here. I would like some broccoli and some, maybe like, you know, some protein type stuff. Maybe like some chicken or something like that. That'd be cool.
All right, I'm at Winco. I'll just get our veggies and stuff here.
Okie dokie. Sounds fantastic, caller. I love you too, babe. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. The lovely Vicky Toria chiming in to make sure that we have the right... We got the right, you know, vegetables for this weekend, stuff like that. So, happy little surprise, have her call in. Oh, whoa, I opened 2 Mr. Browns here. Uh-oh. We might get a little crazy here today because I got 2 coffees. Oh, delicious. But I was trying to give a shout out to everybody. Danny Lawrence, good to see you. Optics Vision, Alvin Alejo. Danktanks is here. Kyle Paith, he's going to be showing up in the show later because we got the Patreon questions here on a Friday. Penelope Flores, how you doing? Gaddis Aquatics, what's up, my man? Optics Vision's asking if I am streaming from my place. Yes, this is my studio here. This is where I broadcast my show. My show comes from here live. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 3 o'clock till 5 o'clock. So this is a 2-hour show. So if you're new here, buckle up. It's going to be a long ride. We've got video segments. We've got chat from all sorts of people. We've got Patreon questions we're going to answer. We normally do those on Friday, so we'll be rocking and rolling on those. We've even got a super chat. We've got a super chat here already, you guys, from the Guppy Guru. Well, good to see you, Guppy Guru. Thanks for the $1.99 super chat saying, who can top this? And I love the painting. Oh, thank you very much. That is a painting of myself. Fairly self-aggrandizing, I guess, but it just felt like it was a project that I wanted to get done, mainly because I want to make it into a t-shirt. So Mellow Moogle, one of our lovely moderators here, was asking me about that earlier. And yes, to those of you out there that may or may not want a shirt at some point in time, this one right here will be made into a shirt. It's going to be the hashtag Oceaneers shirt. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be what that's going to get turned into. And then I begin on some other projects for some other Fish Fam people, which you guys might want to be tuning in for some of those paint projects. Those will be going on. Today in the video segment, we've got some acrylic stuff, and as you've seen from the title, time to destroy the 240-gallon aquarium. We're not going to break the aquarium. We're going to destroy the aquascape, but I got tired of putting aquascape into the title. And speaking of putting aquascape into the title, I would like to address yesterday's live stream title to those of you out there that are super mad that you feel like you got... Oh, man, you got clickbaited. I would like you guys to remind yourselves that you are the one who was clickbaited. So, if you're mad at me and you don't want to follow my channel anymore, I appreciate the I'm not going to follow your channel anymore, you've lost a subscriber comments and all those kinds of things. Fantastic. But just remind to those people out there, just remind yourselves you're the ones that clicked on it because you wanted to see a flood, which actually we did flood the aquariums. We filled them up. Corey and I out there at the co-op, we got them flooded, and a bunch of people sending me a bunch of angry messages and stuff, which is funny because, I mean, you know, realistically, when it comes down to it, we are all clickbaiting, hitting buttons and stuff like that with all sorts of nonsense, and then we just encourage more of that nonsense. So, yes, that was a joke. The whole reason for putting it on there was a joke, and those people that can't take a joke, sorry. I'm sorry for your bad luck. Sorry for your bad luck and misunderstanding that you can't understand making fun of. That it seems like every single video that I've seen in my feed recently is either my fish is dead, or this is dead, or this is destroyed, blah, blah, blah. So, yes, I am literally making fun of all of the clickbaity titles that are that I see constantly in my feed. You know, oh, my plants are dead. Oh, this thing happened. Oh, blah, 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 blah. You know, okay. And, you know, we all end up clicking on it because we go like, well, what happened? So, I don't know. Maybe at some point in time we'll all, maybe everyone will just have a little powwow and we'll go like, oh, maybe just none of us will click on anything, you know, anymore. So, yes. It made fun. If those of you that liked that video, thank you very much. You definitely outshined the people who are upset about getting to watch a free video of behind the scenes from us working on what I think is a pretty cool project. You know, it would be something that people wouldn't have been able to check out. You know, so I just thought, hey, let's make fun of some titles here. And luckily, the reality is that what's the word? What was I going for here? I don't know. I just read a comment that somebody was saying Aqua Pros call out. Mike from Aqua Pros. I love Mike from Aqua Pros. I like his videos. I like the man. I like spending time with Mike. He's a fantastic dude, and yeah, I like his videos. He's a very knowledgeable guy, and yes, he does do some clickbait type stuff. And as you can tell, he has a wildly successful YouTube channel that's doing quite well. But I love the guy. He's a fantastic dude, and like I said, I like spending time with him. And I do like his videos too. They're kind of unique how he does them. They're a little bit. They've got some comedy in them and a good pacing. I feel like I can pretty easily watch a video from him, whereas a lot of videos out there I just can't watch realistically. Sean Nebula submitted a change to Wikipedia for thumbnail to be listed as clickbait. I like that. I wonder if you could actually change Wikipedia into clickbait. I don't know. That just popped into my head. I'm thinking of that. But yeah, yesterday's video was a lot of fun. I was glad to get that out and get that out to you guys and show some of the behind the scenes stuff that people would otherwise not really see. So I think it was pretty fun. Optics Vision is asking, Joel, how many aquariums do you have at your house? 6, about 1,000 gallons of water, I think. Somewhere around there. I'm kind of ballparking. I'd have to write it down. You know what I mean? I'll have to write it down and like add it up to figure it out. But let's see, 6 tanks and 1 reef. Yeah. So I don't know. It's ongoing. Vexing Cast says he wants one of those shirts right now. I'm going to make a decision on whether or not I'm going to actually get those shirts printed or not, or actually put them into the Teespring. I've been kind of dissatisfied with how the Teespring does what they do. Like, I don't think they put out like a terrible product, but they never test anything. You know what I mean? You know, so I never get like a sample or like any kind of feedback from them or anything like that. So it's a bit of an interesting company to deal with. So I'm thinking I might just be taking my business locally. But I got to make a decision whether or not I can do that or not. But we got a super chat here we got to get to. Kieran Duncan. Hi from Northern Ireland. Have some Peru monies. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Some of you guys know that some of you guys know that Corey from the Aquarium Co-op is going to Peru, and I do have an invitation to go to the fish. Well, it's not necessarily fish collecting. It's more like it's going on the fish collecting, but doing the video, like making it, basically just documenting as much as possible down to Peru. I don't have the money to do it, so I certainly can't book the trip at this point. So that's what Kieran's super chat is about. It realistically, you know, if I can get the funds together to book it in time, then that's going to happen. But there are a bunch of trips even already happening this year because so the first trip will be an actual. Or not the first trip, but the next trip coming up will be the, what is it, Grand Rapids, Michigan Live Bearer Convention, I think is what it is. I might have that information wrong, but it's in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I do know that. I know that part. And then I have the date somewhere. So maybe somebody could Googlefy it for me. It's going to be May 4th, 5th, and 6th. May 4th, 5th, and 6th. 2018 right? So, you know, that's gonna be when that happens. You know, I'll be going to that. Then I also have a charity trip that's going to be in Missouri, which I'm going out to Missouri to do one of those where you like run through the woods and you fall off a cliff and then you try to swim across the river and fight a bear or punch Sasquatch. I'm not 100%. Every time I go, I'm always wildly surprised by whatever it is that they want you to do. They're like, hey, here's a ropes course that goes through some lava, you know. So we'll be going to that, which is a charity function. We're going to be going to do that as a charity. That's a charity situation. So we're going out there to help fundraise for the veterans. So it's for the veteran fund, which I don't remember exactly which one off the top of my head, but it's like it's the big veteran fund charity situation, which I'll obviously let people know ahead of time. That's in August, so we got time to make sure we get the proper links to people and all that kind of stuff. So, and then I actually have a trip to Alaska to go up there and help out family. So I'll probably be putting up a barn in Alaska sometime in July, I think, or something like that. I think that's when it is. But, so I've got this, I mean, there's already a bunch of trips, and then there's the aquatic experience, which I think is in October this year. I might be wrong about that too, but hey man, I'm just focused on the stuff that's coming up pretty soon. You know, I don't need to be tripping about stuff that's going on in October. A couple months before that, I'll get that all ready. We have another super chat from Water Forest Aquatics. Ooh, I like that. Water Forest Aquatics. That's a dope name. I like that. I like that. I like that. I like that. And it says, drop them pearls. So I'm not sure what that means, but it sounds good, I think. It's like drop them pearls, like drop them pearling plants, right? My plants were pearling earlier, and I wish I I wish I'd really thrown a camera on it, but at the time I had a camera that was doing other things. It was filming other stuff. So, but I love some. I love me some. What's the word? Purling plants. You know, that's just a good indicator that something is happening, right? You know, sometimes you like look into your aquarium and you're like, are these plants even planting? What are you doing? And you know, if they're purling, you know, that'd be pretty good. Well, let's see. Matt Dill says, I want AquaPro's Mike to be my fish husband and Rachel O'Leary to be my fish wife. Well, I think Rachel O'Leary's already married, so tough luck there. But I believe nobody's put a ring on Mike's finger yet, so you might have an opportunity there. I'm not sure. I'm not speaking for the guy. I just have, as far as I know, he's not married. So, you know, you might have a shot. I don't know. But you'd have to like move to Oregon. I don't know. So maybe you already live in Oregon. I don't know. Let's see here. Water Forest Aquatics. Bentley Pascal is here. What's up, my man? Debbie Swan says, I didn't even read the titles most times. I click every time just because it's you. I like watching you and Corey. So keep it up, please, and thank you so much. You're very welcome. I love making videos and doing the shows, and then being able to show up and talk with you guys. It's one of the amazing things I love about living in 2018. Like, just the fact of, like, how much technology has come forward to the point where it's like, I can actually talk to you guys, like, real time, and we don't actually have to drive out to Michigan every time I want to talk to the Michigan people, right? Because that would just take up a lot of time. But I am super stoked to go to more conventions and stuff like that this year. I think I only went to like 2 last year, maybe 3. I mean, one of them was the Aquatic Experience, so I did have to fly across the country and do all that kind of stuff. Luckily, I had Eric and Iris Gone Mad in my corner helping me out and taking care of me. And which I'm eternally grateful for those guys taking care of me, because it was quite fun. We had just a lot of good times, and I'm looking forward to this next year Aquatic Experience. Hopefully, it's twice as good. I don't know. If we keep making it better and better and better, I don't know. Eventually, it just goes right off the chart, right? Sort of like earthquakes. Eventually, the Richter scale runs out, and then everybody's tripping, just like Fluval, right? I see Caleb Overhaul's in the chat. What's up, Caleb, my man? Caleb, my number 1 fan. There's going to be a video coming out this month for Caleb. That one probably comes out, I'm guessing, hold on a minute. Let me look at my wonky schedule here. I'm guessing the 27th, I think. Or the 24th. 24th or the 27th, I think, is when Caleb produced. Sponsored by the Fishy Mailman, there will be a Caleb-specific video coming out. And by the way, I talked to your mom, and I found out what you said you wanted. So I got a good idea, and I'm in production making that video. I hope it's good. I hope you like it. Because, I mean, like, if you don't, then I'm going to be upset and sad, and then I'll just have to work twice as hard next time, you know what I mean? So hopefully you like it. We'll see. We shall find out. Just a matter of time. Schwisky Vision is asking, did Mr. Overhauls see the new Avengers trailer? I'm very excited for the new Avengers movie. I don't know. I hardly even know why, you guys, but I'm excited for it. Mainly because they're just sort of these epic movies that just have a whole bunch of craziness going on. And they're just exciting. You know what I mean? So, it's like they made a movie out of a comic book. You know? So, that'd be super exciting. Kyle Knutsen's here. What's up? He's asking if I'm Irish. Happy St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. We went over that earlier. We're going to be having a little birthday party with the nieces tomorrow. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to go to Chuck E. Cheese's and maybe something else. I'm not sure. Sky's the limit, you know. But no, I'm not Irish. No. Let's see. Mike's taken. We have a honeymoon soon. Stand in line. Oh, okay. Well, sounds like Schwisky Vision and Mike are having a... they're going to elope. Sounds like it. Nisi is here saying Caleb's here. Oh, with 2 hearts in there. I like it. Well, I saw Caleb was here before I saw your super chat. Thank you very much for the super chat, Nisi of the North. I dig it very much. I don't know if Doug's new videos are out. Are Doug's new videos released to the world yet? I'm a Patreon Nisi of the North, so I got the shout out earlier today. So I don't know when it will be released, like on YouTube or whatever, but very excited. Hopefully that comes out and you guys everyone else can check it out. I don't know. Uh-oh. Caleb's scared for the movie? Oh, you're going to love it, my man. I think it'll be good. It should be good. Boo, boo, boo. Let's see here. Oh, sorry, I missed a super chat from Aqua Naturalist. Let me get to this real quick. Got some Val from the local fish store with short roots. What to do? If you happen to get a plant from the store that has some really, I guess I was about to say emaciated, but that might not be the right word for roots. Let's just say screwed up and melted roots. One of the easiest things that I've found to do, especially with like Valsneria, which actually is it's a pretty easy plant to deal with. Even though it does transition and it just looks like, it almost just looks like a desert plant or something like that while it's going through the transition, not the tradition. What? While it's going through the transition, you could throw a little weight on it. And just, so instead of just floating it around in the top of your tank, but just throw a little weight on it to just kind of weight it, but don't plant the roots yet. Don't plant them into the substrate. Just kind of, keep them floating near the bottom. It's kind of like waving a carrot in front of a donkey, right? They'll start going forward like, I want to get that carrot. The roots, it'll start sending out new roots if it's kind of just in the water column like that. And instead of having it just floating around all crazy then what I normally do is just stick a little weight on it. But don't pinch it too hard. Valsneria is real kind of, it's got real fragile kind of cell membranes and whatnot to it. So it will kind of die off if you pinch that on there too hard. But that will help, and then it will send out some roots, and then go ahead and plant it once you see some new roots coming out there. Luckily, the new roots are like really brilliant white colored, which contrasts really well to just about anything that you could have in the tank. So you can actually see them kind of, sprouting out and coming down. Danktanks was asking, are you sure it wasn't a mule? Definitely could have been a mule. Might have been a donkey. Might have been a mule. I don't know. Not 100% sure. I wish that they made giant goats. I'd much rather ride a giant goat. That's what I would much rather have. Like a giant goat. Or maybe an ox. Maybe an oxen or something like that. That'd be pretty cool too. Let's see here. Trying to catch up. I'm really trying to catch up with the chat here. We got a whole bunch of people here today, which is fantastic. We got Sven. We got JH Aquatics. We got Spadoinkle here. Nice Spadoinkle. Good to see you. Kieran Duncan says, Mark Escrine, not afraid not. Pretty new to the game. Oh, okay. Sorry, you guys chatting amongst yourselves. It's pretty cool. One of the cool things about YouTube now, I don't have to put the chat in the in the video anymore, which I find to be wildly helpful, because when I had to put the chat in before, it had like this 20-second delay, which is almost which almost made it weirder, like on the playback. Like if you tried to read the chat while watching the video, it was all like way out of time. Luckily now, like the new chat playback that is just a built-in YouTube feature now, actually just I've noticed that it plays back like at the right time, which is, I think, pretty cool to be able to follow along these, you know, as the newer live streams and stuff like that are coming out. Adrian Guevara, hopefully I got that right, asking, anyone ever tried dosing liquid ferts while doing a dry start on a planted tank? Maybe misting it on the plants to keep up humidity while adding nutrients? I've never tried misting liquid ferts in a dry start tank, but I almost always had so many problems with the dry start tank that I just sort of stopped doing it. So one of the things I used to do to kind of combat the dry start, because I wasn't doing it anymore, I wanted to get something that would grow really quickly. I would basically just like up my fert level in a plant, up my fertilizer level in a planted tank with less light on it, and no fish or shrimps or snails or anything like that, so that I could just really pay attention to like really getting those plants started really well. And that seemed to work out better. But I would imagine that if you were going to do liquid ferts, you would have to just do, I would basically like water them down and then water the substrate with it, is what I would do. But the few times I had good success with a dry start, I used root tabs, and that worked out pretty well. The root tabs into just really, you know, wet soil or wet substrate, whatever substrate you're going to use. We got a 555 super chat here from Steve's Shrimpy, Super Shrimp, Shrimpery, and more. It's so hard to say, Steven. It's so hard to say your name now. I guess it's SS and more. So it's like S. What is it? So 3 is cubed. What's 4? Uh-oh. I don't know. I can't think of what that is. But either way, we got a 555 super chat from Steve Skoglund saying, this is really from Caleb. Thank you very much for the sponsoring Caleb, our #1 fan here. And if you guys don't know who Caleb Overhauls is, we'll post some of the moderators there will post the GoFundMe link in the chat. You guys can check it out. That gives you the full backstory on what's going on there. Just even reading it the other day, and you know, we're really trying to get to that goal on the GoFundMe. That's the real deal. You know, that's the real main focus thing that we're working on here. You know, I appreciate your guys' super chats for sure. For sure, I would definitely do that. Or, whoa, what happened? Lost my train of thought. I was reading chat and trying to talk at the same time. Sorry. The main focus we're doing here is to try and help out the GoFundMe. I definitely appreciate you guys' super chats. It all goes back into making more shows and stuff like that. So I do appreciate it, but our main goal here is to get this GoFundMe over the top. That's what we're trying to get. We're trying to get over the top, like Sylvester Stallone in Over the Top. And if you've never seen Over the Top, it's a single father who's a truck driver, who's you know, he's an arm wrestling champion, and he's gonna try and get in this arm wrestling competition so that he can win a new truck for his long haul trucking business, so him and his son can. It's a weird movie. It is the weirdest movie. And a little backstory on that super weird movie. The reason I know what that movie is that me and my buddy, he goes by Squirrel. Me and my buddy Squirrel were secretly handing a VHS of that movie back and forth for like 10 years. We just kept sneaking it into each other's house. and neither of us even really had a VHS player, which even makes it even that much more odd. So Schwisky knows exactly what's going on because he just said he's got his hat on backwards, ready to wrestle, which is one of the themes from that movie that makes no sense. It is a movie that makes zero sense. It really does. It's absurd, but it is pretty funny. I would definitely watch it because the absurdity of it, like trying to be serious, is hilarious. It's pretty good. You guys, we got a $12.34 super chat here from a man, Wushu Jimmy Brown, who's saying, because Mr. Chips can't even, not even on a Friday. Where are you, buddy? Mr. Duty Man? I don't know where he went. He was in here. I know it's super sunny out. It's super sunny out right now, so the dogs are all about hanging out in the sun today. If no one knows what Wushu is talking about, I posted on the Instagram and the Facebook page today my favorite picture so far of Mr. Chips. And posted that up today, and he's such a photogenic little guy, you know what I mean? He was born to be a model. He's a model dog, you know what I mean? You just can't take a picture of the guy. He's just so handsome. And so that's what he's talking about, and I agree with you. Sometimes Mr. Chips and I, we just get so excited. We just can't even handle it. You know what I mean? So, but he's my guy, and I dig it. Quadruple is 4. So, yeah, I mean, quadruple, but it's like, you know, if it's like squared, cubed, and then it's just quadrupled after that to the power of 4, I guess. Excuse me. So I guess it would be like S to the 4th power, right? Oh. Mark Esgrine is asking, Joel, if you were starting the hobby again after a long break, would you go George Foreman, George Farmer style, or King of DIY? Well, I guess I probably kind of consider myself landing somewhere just in the middle between those guys, because George has an extreme attention to detail as far as his scapes go and stuff like that. Mine are okay. I guess I would say my scapes are like okay, but definitely not as detailed as his. I'll throw a little curveball for you. If I was gonna start this hobby, if I took a long break, which I did take a long break. I don't know if people have been around long enough to know. I've been on the YouTube platform for a long time. So I did actually take a big break in the middle, and I'll throw a curveball to you. I wouldn't pick George Farmer, mainly because I don't know. I see George Farmer drinks beer all the time and stuff like that, and I don't really know anything about Joey other than just whatever. But I would, if I was going to take a big break and then come back, I would come back Tom Barr style. That's who I would come back as. And if you don't know who Tom Barr is, get it together. Get it together. Tom and I have a lot of conversations, and that dude pretty much just, he's got it locked down. He's got, not only does he have the science background, he's always out running and riding his bike. He works for the California Ecology and also does a ton of aquariums. His aquascapes are awesome. His plants are amazing. And he's a super cool dude. And he's been sober for like 20 years. And he's got a little kid. He's got a daughter that is awesome. He's just a super cool dude. And I would say, is Tom Barr my hero? Probably. I don't know. As far as aquarium stuff goes, Tom Barr's my hero, yeah. So if I had to pick one, if we're playing that game that I got to pick one, that's Tom Barr would be the one I'd pick. I don't know about his photography skills, though. He's pretty good also at that, so, you know. But that's if I had to pick one, that's what I would do. But Spadoinkle has a great point here, saying I would come back Corvus style. I'd probably just come back as myself. Hopefully just a better version of myself, realistically, is what I would do. Just a better version of me, realistically, which is who I hope to be every single day. That is 100% my, people have asked me, like, what are my goals? My goals are to be an improved version of myself every single day. That today I'd be a better version of myself than yesterday. And that kind of stuff takes time. It takes today, it takes tomorrow, it takes yesterday, it doesn't take a crazy amount of time, but I will tell you this. All the stuff is just plotting towards a goal. It's just a slow plotting, and I don't think there's enough people out there talking about that where it's like, I want the next painting I do to be better than the painting before. I want my next aquarium system to be a better ecosystem than the one before. I want the next fish that I get to breed better than the time before. I want my next shrimp colony to be bigger, better, breeding better. It's all those little tiny steps. That's the stuff that I really appreciate, is just getting a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. And also documenting, documenting stuff on YouTube for me is amazing, because I can go back like 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, or whatever. Well, maybe I think most everything from like 8 years ago is deleted. But let's say I just go back 5 years. I can just go, oh, wow. I am doing so much better than I was 5 years ago. So not even to mention just all of the cool community stuff, getting to talk to you guys, like coming on here, that little piece of the puzzle that is perspective on my own life is an amazing aspect to be able to have access to, and hopefully, realistically, my main goal here is just to express those things, express that message, and just be like, that's the whole goal here. It comes up from time to time and things along those lines. Or, oh, man, I did it. I said things along those lines. Sorry. I'm really trying not to say that. I don't know why I say it so much. It's weird, but really trying not to say that specific phrase. But, so that is the main goal here. The main goal here of doing this show, putting up videos, doing all this kind of stuff, show failures, show success, show all the things that go in, and the fact that it is just doing a tiny bit of work, doing a tiny bit of work, doing a tiny bit of work a whole bunch of times, and eventually getting to a goal, So that's the main reason that I do this show. It's the main reason that I really do any of this stuff. And I know that at some point in time, some people were confused. They're like, I don't understand what your show is. It's weird. You're like talking about this, you're talking about that, you got a video, you're answering questions, and I'm like, yeah, this is the whole thing that I want to do. So, yeah, I just keep doing it and adding the stuff that I want to add, Kevin Keener says, I agree every day, just trying to be a little bit better. But I did set the bar high with the shark fin for your car video. You are right. If anybody's really interested in some really high-end car modification video, you could actually go back and back and back and back through tons and tons of videos and eventually find one that is a shark fin for your car. I would say it's really big time professional body work, I would say. And it's hilarious. Oh, my back. Sorry. We have a $2.99 super chat from Mary RN H2O Shrek, who was who missed the live stream last night because of midterms, I believe, or something. Or no, missed the live stream earlier this week because studying to be a nurse takes time, energy, and it's awesome. I so love getting updates like that. Like, oh man, I missed the show because I'm in school. I'm like, dude, yes, that is awesome. You know, I mean, if people are at work or they have another thing to do or whatever, I like those messages too. But really appreciate hearing little things like, oh, I had midterms and I had to do this and I had to do that. It's totally awesome. So it's a $2.99 super chat saying a tip for bringing awesome on a Friday. Well, thank you very much. That's kind of the deal. It's kind of the deal while we're here. You know what I'm saying? We also have a $10 super chat from Vexen Cat, and I realized I just screamed into the microphone. Sorry, guys. Hope I didn't break anybody's eardrums. But we got a $10 super chat from Vexen Cat saying, you need a third coffee open. The number 3 is Vexen Cat's favorite number. Oh. Well, hold on a second here. I might actually have 3 coffees here. I might have just been messing with y'all because there's got the 2 Mr. Browns and I got my thermos. I really didn't mean to open the other Mr. Brown. I just had 2 of them sitting here, and apparently, like, while I was talking, I opened them. So apparently I opened both of them like a weird hillbilly. So here we are. I apparently do actually have 3 coffees on the table, so it's not the worst thing ever. At least I have more SD cards on the table than I do coffees, so that's good. But I will admit, I am running out of hard drive space on my computer again, and that is, like, wildly frustrating. You know what I mean? That's like one of those super frustrating things that doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense that when I just run out of space, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I've got 4 hard drives in here and everything's going great. Oh no, I'm running out of space now. And the last thing I want to do is, like, you know what I mean? Like, delete video or pictures or the documentation. Like, I don't want to lose that stuff. Like, so I don't know. I'm gonna figure out, get another hard drive. It's gonna happen fairly soon here because I'm running out of space, you guys. But that's just a casual update on things that happen around over here. You know what I mean? Oh my Lord, we have a whole lot of viewers today. Somebody says we got to hit the like button, I guess. Yeah, because Skynet says, you know, we have the robot overlords that operate the YouTube here, which YouTube's probably super mad that that I even mention it, but the robot overlords run this thing, and if you don't hit the like button or the dislike button, they get... last thing we want is the robots to be mad, you know what I mean? Because then... I don't know if you've ever seen those Terminator movies, but that just looks like a disaster. That's all I'm saying. Schwisky Vision is here saying, I spent like 25 minutes today trying to find my SD card. Almost lost 2 weeks of fish video. Yeah, I've got 4 SD cards right here. So that's good. I've got enough. I have a weird system here of how I put them into the computer and then I offload everything and then I put them all up here and then I rotate through them. I don't know why. It's just a weird way that I do it. So that, I guess the main reason is that I have like a couple of days to go, oh, wait a minute, did I get everything off that card? You know, it's just a little, like, backup. A backup to the backup, I guess. Savannah says, my laptop is my photo boat. It's loaded with pictures. Well, you got to get a backup for the backup, you know what I mean? Johnny Zalea with a $1.99 super chat saying, how long should I wait to add shrimp to a new tank? Technically, you want to wait till at least it's fully cycled, which means if you don't know what it's cycled, you can look up. There's so many nitrogen cycle videos out there. I just recommend looking a good one up and watch it a couple times, and you'll get the handle of testing and all that. Once it's cycled, you're fine to go. For me personally, I normally wait a good amount of time. I'll normally allow it to get a little bit mature before I really start adding shrimp into it, just because I have found in my experience that it's just a better transition to go from here to there in that way. Without, if you just put them in just right away, you can always end up with a problem. Mellow Moogle says the chat is a busy place. If you have more questions, please check out the Patreon community page, which I'll be highlighting today later in the show. And if you're not somebody that can Patreon, then email me, joel@darkstararts.com, and then you can check it out. Andrew Crankshaw is asking, can you recommend a similar podcast? I ran out of content from you fellas. Have a very, what? Oh, boring job. I was like, wait, that sentence got weird. Okay, you have a very boring job. Okay. Well, I don't know. This is the 711th video that I have up on here. I don't know anybody else that's really doing a podcast except for a couple of people. And the one really good one I found only had 2 episodes, and they were 4 years apart. So I don't know. I can't really recommend anybody else at this point, but there are a bunch of content creators that are doing live streams that I find to be pretty useful and stuff like that. But one of the reasons that Corey and I started doing the Real Fish Talk and we built out the studio and stuff is because there just wasn't anybody doing the long format shows that we wanted to listen to. So we're like, well, I guess we got to make it. And then we figured, like, the worst case scenario on the upside, somebody else would do it better than us, and then we'd just go listen to that. Which I think, that's not the worst. That's not the worst downside I've ever heard of, right? But nah, I don't know. Maybe somebody in the chat could recommend something, but can't necessarily just come up with anything right off the bat. Let's see here. All right, everybody just laughing. Oh, Sashimi Whiskey's just being hilarious. He eats robots for supper. Now I know why everybody's laughing, because that is funny. Michael Davis, centerpiece for a 75-gallon guppy / platy tank. Can I go in any direction as long as it's plant safe? Keep doing all the great stuff that you do. Thank you. Let's see. Centerpiece Fish for a 75-gallon guppies and platies. Well, between the guppies and the platies, there's just going to be a lot of movement in the very center of the tank. Anything I could really think off the top of my head that would be a real centerpiece in there would probably be either consuming the guppies or platy babies, which would kind of a drag. But a typical inhabitant that I would normally put in with a guppy and platy tank would be something like a school of cories. Like, I'd do like a small school of like maybe Starabi cories, like bigger ones, the big Starabis. Those would be pretty cool. I think a panda guppy's kind of a little too small, kind of drab. But I would probably, or did I say panda guppies? Panda cories, sorry. Probably the Starabi cories, like maybe like 12 of them or something like that would be pretty cool as something that would go along well with those fish. That's what I would think. Like I said, most of the centerpiece fish that I can think of would probably eat all the babies and stuff like that. Is he saying platies instead of platies? Yeah, I don't know. No one can. Yes, I say platies. I probably say it wrong. I'm no expert in that fish. So, yeah, I probably say it wrong. But, you know. But I do have some emails to get to today before we go to the video, which the video will be coming up next in about 5 minutes here as I address these emails. So our first email is from Charlie List, who sent me a shout out saying he very much likes what I'm doing here and just to keep doing it. And thank you, Charlie. Instead of emailing you back, I figured, hey, I'm going to give you a shout out on the show because I feel like that's even kind of funner. But Charlie List, if you're out there, thank you very much for the email. I appreciate it. He's saying that you're really enjoying the short videos that have been coming out. I would love to keep making short videos all the time. Just having to figure out how to isolate more of my time to be able to actually produce them and stuff like that would be is going to be the big issue. Actually producing them. It's not so much shooting them is that big of a deal, but it's just really breaking down, editing them, making sure everything's correct, reshooting stuff. It's like the post-production stuff that just does really chew up a lot of time. And as you guys know, I do a lot of production for this show here. I know somebody sent me an email recently that was saying, like, you know, they were kind of upset because of how many people are live streaming now because they think it takes zero prep. And I think it does take zero prep to put together a... so like the live stream that Corey and I did last night, that takes zero prep. Just grab your phone, make a title, take a picture, turn it on, wander around. That really doesn't take any time, but I do put a lot of time and effort and equipment and making sure everything's legit for this show, so it does sound good. It looks good. I have to control all of the stuff over here, so this does chew up a lot of my production time during the day. So I'm just trying to figure out how to segment and partition some more area to make more short videos instead of like lessening them. But, you know, Eddie's here asking, how do I feel about the khakis? Hey, I love the khakis. I got brown pants on today. But, I guess khaki work pants. Legit. Yeah. As you guys know, I pretty much always wear Dickies work pants are the type that I like to wear. And I find them to be the most comfortable. They make a fine cut, tailored. I don't know. The cut of the pants. There we go. The cut of the pants fits my body, and it got all the extra pockets for my hammers and tools and nonsense, right? Ben Ireland sent me a great email, but I did an extensive reply, and I got an email here from Lisa Camilleri, who's actually asking about, she has, I was going to say it's a pigeon coop, or a pigeon loft, right? As you guys know, with the chickening recently, we've been building coops, and as you guys know, I'm always building stuff and, you know, slapping together 2x4s and doing all sorts of nonsense, right? So am I the bastion of construction knowledge? No. But I do know quite a bit, so I might be the guy to answer some of the questions here. Now, the first question that she had was about the flooring. So this loft, the pigeon loft, it's like a pigeon coop, basically, is going to be 8 feet by 16 feet, which is quite large. I will say that is going to be sizable enough. I think the pigeons are going to be pretty happy with the amount of square footage they're going to be dealing with. I mean, even if you had like a human teenager, they'd be happy with an 8 foot by 16 foot room, you know, so I think it'd be pretty cool with that. And so let's see. Now, the questions that we have here is the floor joists will be a grid of 2x4s with spacing in between on those joists from 30 to 20 inches, which the first question with that Is there anything glaringly wrong with your plan? Yes, on your floor joists here. If your floor joists are going to be 2x4, and this is something that people are going to be walking on, they need to be 16 inches on center, or you need bigger floor joists, basically. You need 2x6, 2x8, 2x10, 2x12, you know, some bigger lumber in order to bridge a bigger gap like that, but I still wouldn't recommend it, even though the question was... so the floor itself will be 3/4 inch marine plywood, which actually is pretty thick and can handle people walking on it and stuff like that. But the further you get apart on those floor joists, anytime you're walking on it to go in there to clean and that kind of stuff, you're going to sag those gaps in between. And so those need to be 16 inch on center, or even 12 inch on center if you're going to go with 2x4s, just because there's just not... So basically, the board that runs this way with the big plywood on top of it, it's all going to flex and stuff as you walk over it, and eventually the plywood in between will dip and sag and fall apart, and then you're just going to end up rebuilding this thing. Whereas you could just go down to the hardware store and pick up like 3 or 4 extra 2x4s and then just gap them closer together, and you'll be good to go. Now, so is there anything glaringly wrong with the plan, or is it overkill? I have no idea why the picture is like a million miles zoomed in right now. The layout is a little bit odd, but that's probably the space that you have, and it's the space where you want it to be. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal. It should be fine. It looks like you're building it to the space, but I would just make sure that the floor joists are close enough together in order to hold any kind of load that could be on there and not have to replace the floor later. One of the other questions was, my father wants me to coat the bottom of the joist with a tar-based product to protect against water damage. Is that a good idea? Yes, it's always a good idea to protect any kind of wood from getting saturated with water or wicking any water up from down below. So it's always a great idea to do as much waterproofing as possible, and hopefully that answers some of your questions. I know that you said that your plan is sizes might be weird because of space available and it being recycled material. I get that. I have a big pile of lumber out there that I use for recycled projects, especially stuff chickens are going to poop on and stuff like that all the time. I would definitely just consider going to pick up a couple extra 2x4s to make sure that your floor is good enough to go. All right. Always protect the wood. That's right, Sean. You always got to protect your wood. Let's see. KG Cichlids asking, have you ever held a 2x4 over your shoulder like Hacksaw Jim Duggan and said, "Hey-o"? Yes, of course. Of course I have. Are you ridiculous? Of course I've done that because I'm ridiculous. But it's pretty good stuff. Let's see. Kyle Knutsen's asking, Joel, how come people use PVC instead of PEX in their fish room? Well, PVC is almost typically always a drain. And oftentimes people will use PVC. So one of the big differences with plumbing versus moving water, okay? So the water pipes in your house are under an extreme amount of pressure. It doesn't seem like it because whenever you turn any water on and off, you're always coming from a gate valve, so it's actually very restricted and very consistent. But the water pressure in your house is under a lot of pressure, okay? So those pipes really need to hold up to that. Now, if you're just moving water from a pump, like, for instance, from my sump up into my tank, that's actually not a lot of pressure. That's just flow. That's just water flowing by. So it's never going to split, pop open, and do any of that kind of stuff. And realistically have the problems that you know, the plumbing in your house could, because you're just moving water around. There's nothing, it's not under pressure. So I think that's why people use PVC a lot. It's a lot cheaper than PEX fittings to either crimp stuff together all the time. You know, the crimper itself costs like $200, and then those pieces, or if you're going to use like shark bite fittings, they're like between $10 and $25 a piece. Well, I think the cheapest ones are like $7 or something like that. But it's just PEX ends up being really expensive for fish room purposes. So, but as far as inside a house, almost everybody uses PEX all the time now because it is pretty much impervious for moving water around, and it works really well. You can get it wherever you need to get it to. Let's see. Oh, ground bull. I was quarantine treating, and yesterday a couple were on the sides trying to swim, and a bunch of them were kinked, so I culled them. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I'm reading the chat here a little bit for a second. Okay. Cool. Sounds like everybody seems to be answering the questions to a good degree. So it's going to be time for the video. As you guys notice, the beginning of the video here is quite boring to some, and maybe not so boring to others. But needless to say, there's some good stuff going on here with me doing a whole bunch of acrylic production for grinding up acrylic. So I pretty regularly get the question, how do I saw acrylic? I get this a lot, and I wanted to give you guys the heads up early before any kind of video comes out. But if people are interested in cutting acrylic and they're in the chat right now, I'm going to actually just post a link right here so you guys can check that out. And if anybody is interested in sawing acrylic and you're wondering what to get, that is the saw blade right there. And I wanted to just throw that precursor in before we get to the aquascaping portion of the video, and that is beginning here in just a second. It's kind of a slow roll to get things going here, and I don't know why it seems like it's so much slower than... Oh, there I am. There I am with some scissor action. So the first thing that I wanted to mention to people is that so the dwarf chainsword, is it the pygmy chainsword, or is it the dwarf pygmy chainsword, or is it the pygmy dwarf chainsword, or what are we calling it now? I don't know. The dwarf chainsword in here will always grow into the other plants. I wanted to show you guys real quickly before the Mount St. Helens style eruption that is about to break loose in the video. Because as I mentioned in the title, do we have to destroy the tank to get it where we need it to go? And that's definitely a possibility, because this 240-gallon aquarium it's in desperate need of a rescape, and I'm really excited to try out a new technique that I have planned. And I want to spoil it, but I've got to remember not to spoiler alert my own spoiler. You know what I mean? So I don't want to spoil my own spoiling, right? So, but the 240 is going to get broken down, so I don't want to tell you guys exactly what's going to go in here ahead of time, but it's pretty exciting. I'm pretty stoked. But right now, we are here to talk about what's going to happen to get ourselves into a good position. Now, hold on a second, guys. I got to close the door. I don't know what Vicky is doing out there, but she is banging around a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know if she's mad or something, but she's just banging around stuff and it is distracting me like crazy. So, the first thing that we need to do is make sure that we get the dwarf chainsword trimmed. And it sends out its little runners sort of under the substrate, right? Sends out a little runner and then doot, one little like kind of, it's basically like a little tiny blade of grass comes popping up. And then it sends out another little runner and then boop, a little blade of grass comes up. And then underneath the substrate again, boop, and then it just keeps doing that. And eventually, it just goes all the way over to the other side of the tank if you're not paying attention to it. But basically what I'm doing here with the scissors is I'm just trimming throughout the substrate in a line where I don't want it to be further that way. You know, one side of the tank has a ton of this stuff in here. And then as you guys can see with the scissors, I got it all trimmed, and now I'm actually just using the tweezers, the tweezle twazzles, to, you know, kind of start tearing it up out. And I just kind of wanted to show you guys that this is just sort of a meticulous kind of time-consuming thing, but, and it will just kind of make a mess, but I will be making a big, gigantic mess in this aquarium fairly soon, so it's not that big of an issue right now. So I wanted to get this trimmed and kind of show you guys the kind of breakdown that you have to sort of walk the scissors through the substrate, cutting all those little runners out, and then you can pull them out of the substrate and get them out from the areas that you don't want them to be in. The dividers and stuff like that, I never really had a lot of success with dividers because most plants don't really care about a divider. They'll just grow up and over it, or their root will go all the way down and like slip underneath it. And then all of a sudden it's like, what are you doing over here on the other side of the divider? You're supposed to be behind the divider. So I've never found success with those. I just realistically end up building... building. I don't end up building. I end up just trimming the areas that I want the plants to stay in. And it does take a little bit more time, but I definitely found in the years that I've been doing aquascaping and that kind of stuff that they don't... the dividers didn't really save me on any time. It just... stuff would just grow up over them and stuff like that, and it just wasn't all that great, so... Let's see. Schwisky Vision says that runner actually makes that noise. You can hear it through the tank. Bloop. That's right. It's like this. Can you guys even hear that? Maybe. I don't know. Uh-oh. We're running out of coffee over here, guys. Time to freak out. So people are saying it's Mount Vesuvius. I'm calling it Mount St. Helens because Mount St. Helens blew up at one point in time. If you've never seen that video, it's amazing. You should definitely check that out if you get a chance. Let's see. Oh, we got a notification here from the Patreon. Flynn's Fish Forum posted. He's going live tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Be sure to tune in. If you guys don't know who Flynn's Fish Forum is, go ahead and check him out. It's definitely a new up-and-comer young guy. Got a great little channel. I think he's Canadian. We'll see. Maybe he's Canadian. Smil Kapoor is here. Good to see you. Zaps U is asking, dude, I can't find any Java Moss anywhere. Any tips? Java Moss is like super hard to come across these days for some reason. I remember back in the day that Java Moss was like everywhere. You could just buy it for like $1 and you could just get it. But it is, for whatever reason, it's super hard to come across these days. And it's a little bit bizarre. I think it's just like people stopped growing it because it was so common, maybe. You know, I don't know. It just seems really weird to me that it just kind of, you like can't find it at stores or anything like that anymore. It's very weird. But as some people have mentioned, this is basically Mount Vesuvius here. It's pretty crazy. Let's see. Vexing Cat bought his off Java Moss off Aquabid. Ooh, Aquabid's a great place. You might be able to find somebody on Craigslist. Johnny B is asking best online fish retailers on the West Coast. The Wet Spot in Portland. That's the one I would go. That was one I would go for if you're on the West Coast. I would go for the Wet Spot in Portland, Oregon. They ship up and down the coast. That's the ones I would be going for sure. As Candy Overhaul says, same thing. Schwisky Vision says on the East Coast, almost every local fish store has it. Once I came over here, hardly have seen it. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's just not around. Brian, in the worst case, there's Java Moss on Amazon, sold by Aquatic Arts. Oh, you can actually get the Java Moss off Amazon. All right. You could do that. Barbara Jackson says, I've come to the same conclusion as Joel about swords. I'm going to take them out of my 20-gallon long as they are taking over, replacing it with crypts. Ooh, that's a good idea. In my opinion, it's a much better plant for a smaller tank like a 20-gallon long would be crypts as opposed to a sword. A sword root ball will just take over the whole thing and end up with some problems. Realistically, it's just how they grow. You know what I mean? So, let's see here. Barbara got Christmas moss off eBay. I would go with Christmas moss more than I would go with Java moss. Personally, I think that's kind of what happened on the West Coast. Is I think that a lot more people are into the sort of, I guess, fancier mosses. You know, like Phoenix moss and flame moss and Christmas moss and stuff like that. So I think that's probably just more common on the West Coast now that people are doing that instead. As you guys can see, the complete and utter disaster that is the 240 right now. I wanted to give you guys a sneak peek into the beginning of the mayhem with the 240 and what is happening, and we'll jump back to the part where I'm trimming with the scissors here. And you guys, hopefully y'all are excited for what's going to happen with the 240. I'm super excited. It's basically getting a whole entire new rescape with a lot of the previous stuff that has been in there. But like I said, I'm working on some techniques that I've been planning on working on, and I never really got around to doing it 100%. I never really got around to doing it, and now's the time. It just feels like the right time now. As you guys know, the 150 is looking pretty darn good right now. I'm pretty much just maintaining it. The 60-gallon is going to get some other plants added to it and whatnot, but the scape is pretty good. So it's a great time to kind of redo the 240. It's a pretty big tank, and you know, when Bracken was here last weekend, you know, we were both talking about it, and it was like, well, the way that I scaped the tank makes it seem like a really small tank, because it's like, it feels like two different tanks. It feels like a different tank on either side, and it doesn't, it's 8 feet long. I mean, the tank it's pretty big, and it definitely doesn't give that vibe with how I had it scaped. So I'm completely changing it up. We're going on a completely different direction with this aquarium. Well, not 100% completely different, but there's going to be some big changes to it, and just definitely wanted to give you guys the show you guys the start and how it can start, and how much of a mess it is to really get this stuff going. But it's definitely worthwhile in the end, that's for sure. Excuse me. Let's see. Rory is asking a question. Which fish are easy / hardier in y'all's opinion? Neons or cardinals? I think Savannah kind of hit the nail on the head there. Neon if captive bred. Otherwise cardinals. Yeah, a lot of neons are wild caught. So I would always kind of keep that in mind if you're going to go buy some neons. I would go with the cardinals because they're most likely going to be hardier even if they're wild caught. You know, so I definitely have to agree with Savannah on that one. All right. Cool. Okay. Well, I think everyone pretty much got the preview of the 240 there. So, we're going to move on because we have a ton of Patreon questions. And I want to say thanks to everybody ahead of time for sending in your Patreon questions. I love answering them, especially when I get the chance and I can answer them. It's super awesome. I definitely appreciate everybody. You know, not only for the fact that, like, oh, whoops, I'm on the wrong window here. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Oh, hold on. Now I lost the chat. Okay, so I'm going to do this. Move that over there. All right. Whew, there we go. Okay. But we're moving on to the Patreon questions here. Just definitely want to say thanks to everybody for sending in your Patreon questions or your comments, all the stuff from the community page here. This will definitely give a look to anybody who has not been to the Patreon page, okay? If you haven't been there and maybe you aren't a Patreon, so at least give you a quick look into what the Patreon is like, the people on there, the things that kind of come up and stuff like that. And also, I take time on Fridays as much as I can to answer from the Patreon page during the show, and can try to get it back and forth with anybody. If there's still any questions and whatnot, then we'll be able to get to it. Vexing Cat was for some down and dirty info on fossil or petrified wood in basaltic lava. Check out this series presented by Nick Zentner of Central Washington University. The Ginkgo Petrified Forest right here. I have been to the Ginkgo Petrified Forest many times. I've been out for quite a few of the lectures out there and stuff like that. And so I would agree and say, yeah, this is definitely worthwhile if you are in Washington State, or you can check it out on YouTube. If you're in Washington State, I would highly recommend going out there because there's a ton of stuff you can get hands-on. You can definitely physically hold on to, look at, inspect all sorts of the geological stuff that they have going out there. They have a ton of presentations and things, and you can actually buy stuff from the store. Vexing Cat was saying if this is too off topic, please feel free to delete. This is not off topic because geology is a big part of aquariums and maintaining an aquatic ecosystem and stuff like that. This stuff is, you know, it's not the most important thing in the world because there are some shortcuts now that you can just kind of go around it and not have to learn about it. But I would definitely recommend people to learn about some of this stuff because it can be important, and you can definitely bridge a lot of possible deficiencies with things that you have going on. So I would either, you know, check out the YouTube's lectures and stuff. They're fantastic. But I would definitely, if you could go to the Ginkgo Petrified Forest, go there for sure. You can definitely meet a lot of the people that are working on the property there, and you can also even buy some petrified stone or petrified wood that is now stone. And most of it's aquarium safe. You can actually use it in your aquarium. Some of my old nanoscapes and stuff like that I used to do with petrified wood, which is fantastic. Schwisky Vision says he wants to go. Savannah was wondering how far it is from the border. It's sort of central Washington. from where I'm at right here, I think it's maybe an hour and a half, maybe a little bit longer. Maybe it's 2 hours, something like that. It doesn't take that long to go there. But I do have people to visit on the way. I believe it's outside of Vantage, Washington, if I can remember correctly. So if you were to look up Vantage, or I guess you could just look up the ginkgo forest, and you'll probably get it. Kyle Paith sent in a picture saying of his 13-gallon aquarium. This is a weird shaped aquarium, which has been a topic of discussion for a while. It's a pretty cool, weird setup. A 13-gallon aquarium is certainly weird. Oh, I forgot to hit the like button here. I normally hit the like after I do it. That's how I mark it. So he posted escape idea. This is what I'm thinking for the 13-gallon. Not going to keep all the pieces in there. Going to play around with them for a while and see what combo I like. I like this mid-forest look he's going for here. I don't like how there's like 4 tones of wood. It would be better if it was either, one type, obviously, or just 2. It seems like there's too many different tones of wood in here. It's the only thing that I would think about changing, but I look forward to seeing what happens and how it works out. That'd be great. Let's see. Ifritz says, hey, from South Africa, it's 1:24 in the morning. Total madness. Oh, right on. Glad to hear from you. That's pretty late night wood, or pretty late night wood? Late night wood? That's pretty late night. Thanks for showing up. Let's see. Josh Wallace with the $5 super chat saying, I love what you and Corey are doing in the fish community. Keep it up. I'll keep trying. I'll keep trying to keep it up, Try to keep rocking and rolling here. Thank you very much, Josh. As you guys know, your super chats and your patronization and all that stuff goes back into making more shows. So it really is one of those things that, like, yeah, the long-term goal is to get this funded enough that this is... I am sorry. I just smacked the microphone. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to hit the microphone. I was trying to get a little piece of tape here, and the tape roll went flying around and hit the mic. So hopefully I didn't kill anybody's earbuds. I'm sorry about that. Michelle Shear sent in on the Patreon. Is it normal for a crypt that was 6 inches tall to melt back to nothing and now is only an inch tall? It's a great answer here from Savannah Morrow. Crypts don't always melt, but when they do, it's because you looked at them wrong. Yes, it is fairly normal for crypts to melt if you move them. Oftentimes, if you buy them from the store, I actually mentioned this during the live stream last night, that oftentimes the plants come in, they're grown up in the air, okay? So when we say immersed grown versus submerged is under the water, immersed is like the roots are in the water, and then all the plant foliage is growing above. So it is very common to get a crypt and have it be growing and it be super tall, because that's the emergent version, right? So excuse me. So it is very common that it will melt back. If you move it, it'll melt. Not always, but oftentimes it'll melt back because it's adjusting to its new environment. Crypts will adjust. Cryptocrine will adjust very readily to new water situations. So it is very helpful because as you move crypts around, you can definitely get them to the point where like if you move them around, they'll grow like generally where you put them if you get them to the point where they've melted and grown back, is I think what I was trying to say, and I trailed off because I was thinking about Kyle Paith sending a picture painting the back today. Hopefully it comes out good using graphite colored peel coat. It's got a metallic look. I have no idea how it's going to look with the water and plants in front of it, but we shall see. Now, Kyle says, P.S. Always wear your proper personal protection equipment, which is very important, you guys. Always remember to wear your masks or eye protection or any of that kind of stuff. Sometimes I saw my thumb off, but I don't recommend it. It's not good. Doesn't feel good. And he's repping the Steenfot Aquatics. We dig that. DMC of the Sea sent in, got some more cherry shrimp, wondering if I can treat them with general cure as a preventative measure like I do with my fish. I would, realistically. I've treated shrimp over the years, but a lot of times I'll actually just quarantine them for a long period of time and see what happens. When I say long period, I think probably either I'll set up a tank for them specifically and then sort of crazily watch them for like probably 60 days before I'm like really feeling comfortable like they're going to be okay. But, you know, yeah, you definitely treat your shrimp when you get them in. Make sure they don't have any parasites or anything weird on them. Jackson Borowski sent in, hey, everybody, I happened to get a 9-gallon Fluval Flex for free from work, so I decided to set it up and scape it. Don't really know what to stock it with yet. Anybody have any suggestions? Water's pretty much neutral, but I'm not against changing the pH if something piques my interest. On a small 9-gallon tank like this, I would go with some kind of shell dweller. I would definitely go with some shell dwellers. That's what I would go for. And I might be wrong, but that's what I would go for. I'll go for some shell dwellers, probably some blue eyes or something like that. Some shell dwellers, or I would just go with a shrimp tank. So I might be able to get something pretty cool. If you went with a shrimp tank, you might be able to get something pretty unique that you may or may not have either seen or been looking for a good amount of time. I would probably, on that small of a tank, consider going with something a little hardier, so something probably in the Neocaridinus if you were going to go shrimp. That's what I would do, because they're gonna allow you to do a lot more things than just that. They're gonna let you do more things and have more water variability and not die off and stuff in that small of a tank. So Barbara Jackson said he's even got shells in there already. Yeah, it's definitely like halfway there for a shell dweller tank. So that's Neolamprolagus is what I would go for. All right, Jeremy Scott says, so I've heard this brought up a few times, potting soil equals impending doom. I let someone talk me into this, and now you've got me scared now. My question, should I ditch it now? I always hate tearing apart a tank and even temporarily moving fish in the plants from their home and causing such stress. But worried about problems down the road. Currently have about 1 inch of dirt capped with 1 inch of sand. What's my best move forward? I would, personally, you know, what I would do is, personally, what I would do is tear the tank down and resubstrate it. I know that it's kind of stressful for the fish and stuff like that, but it's less stressful than the potential of everything dying when something happens. And I almost say like a definitive when something happens, because something will happen at some point, you know, realistically at some point in time, something is going to happen, and it's not going to be that great. Vince Grippa was saying, I haven't tried a dirty tank before, but what I gathered from Joel, they are incredibly unpredictable because potting soil isn't cleaned and regulated like aquarium substrate. Yeah, that's one of the biggest deals. It's one of the biggest deals with people doing those tanks is that the substrate, you know, it's not ready for like long-term use underwater. Then moving on to the next We have a picture here from Savannah, who is asking, can anyone identify what is going on with this Anubias plant? The underside of the leaf is growing these little root-like tendrils. I forget what this is, honestly. And I was kind of racking my brain today while I was working in the shop trying to figure out like what this was. I can't remember what it is, but I can remember what I did when I had it. I cut everything off. I remember cutting everything off that had this on it. I can't remember if it's like a fungus or if it's just if this is part of like how. No, because Anubias flowers, so this isn't like how the Anubias like reproduces or anything. I don't think it's roots, but I remember the times that I had gotten this on my Anubias, I cut those leaves off. So I can't remember exactly what it is, but I've seen it before and I remember cutting it off the times that this happened. But it's been a really long time since I have seen this. So I was just trying to recall if I could remember what it was, and I can't remember it, but I do remember cutting it off. Donnie Hill posted this picture, but this was the picture up here that he wanted to post. So we'll talk about this one for a minute. I can't tell if this... Oh, I forgot. I can't do that. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I screwed up the screen cap. I clicked on the link because I wanted to look at it bigger there. Well, that was my fault. Sorry about that. I wanted to look at the picture bigger. But this is the picture. It looks like a 125 maybe. Not sure. Looks like it's maybe a 125. I'm not 100% on what size this one is. Maybe Donnie's around. He can let us know. But here's that picture, then that one. You can see definite difference between the two. It might even just be just the lighting. I don't know. No, it looks like the plants are doing different stuff. Yeah. It says it's growing in nicely, and I agree. It definitely is growing in nicely, right? Excuse me. But digging the tank layout, I definitely dig these rocks. This is some great looking, I mean, they look like basalt or something like that, but those are some great looking rocks. I definitely dig it. Of course, you got the Anubias in there. I would like to say that like I'm too cool to like Java Fern, but I'm not. I really like Java Fern, and I still like Java Fern, and I'm happy to say that my narrow leaf Java Ferns are sprouting and sending out babies. We got a big shout out here to Travis Boyette, who says, "Hey, Fish Fam, little off topic, just excited to say today marks 5 years of being with my beautiful and wonderful wife. Would have thought she could put up, who would have thought she could have put up with a crazy fish head like me?" Well, congratulations, Travis and your Travis and your wife. That's amazing, and glad to hear 5 years of holy matrimony. You know what I'm saying? We got a post here from Getface himself. We got a quick update of the terrestrial moss and experiments and my new tank. The moss has lost its color, so might have died. Going to give it a bit longer to see if it has or whether it's just melting back. Next up is the new tank. Everything seems to be growing in. Oh, all right. So he's got a bunch of pictures here of his tank setup. There's some extension tubes, close up macro shot of one of the Java Ferns runners. I love it when Java Ferns send out runners. It's pretty rare for them to Java Ferns to actually send out runners. So Getface says I picked the fish up for this new tank as well as some for my main tank. They are currently doing meds and quarantine, hence the above shots. Using a plastic tube for the tank, made a cave out of some of the cobbles and stuck some around the almond leaves to provide some cover. That's awesome. Glad, it's great to see those. There's 8 green Corys for the new tank and 10 Pleiades, 5 yellow Bumblebee, and 5 white Milky Mouse for 3 Plecos for the main tank. That's nice. Oh, these look like guppies. I can't tell. 5 yellow Bumblebee, white Mickey Mouse. Oh, so these might actually just be the Pleiades. It's kind of out of focus. Get Face is saying, so it seems if you try and attach more than one picture, it creates a new post for each picture and then repeats the text. It's kind of harebrained. Looks like he's got some assassin snails that came in. Hitchhikers. Kelly Peterson this morning sent in super exciting day here in the Peterson family fish room. Sighted my very first shrimplets on my way to being an orange reely breeder. That is awesome. Congratulations. That is fantastic. I love hearing people doing some breeding stuff and getting things rolling. That is fantastic. Rutger Wentink. Really awesome to see all the stream legends live. Well, who's that? Is that me? No, can't be me. Mr. B's Fishing Thing says, like the new angle. Oh, hey, what's up? How you doing? Good to see you. Johnny Zelaya is asking, how can I send you a picture of my tank? There's 2 ways. You can send to my email, or you can post on the community page right here on the Patreon. It's one of the cool things. This is really one of the cool things about the Patreon, you know, is that you can become a monthly sponsor on the Patreon. It's just a once-a-month charge, you know, and even the people that are, you know, just $1 a month are wildly appreciated by yours truly. It is a huge monumental thing to be doing so well via the Patreon. I mean, not to discount the fact that, like, we are below some of the goals. There's 285 people patronizing on the Patreon page, and that's crazy. But this is one of the cool features that I really like about Patreon, is that you can really be at that like $1 a month, and it gives you access to, like, you know, almost 300 people that are a part of the fish fam, that are engaged in fish tanks and paying attention, and you can definitely post stuff up on here. And like Kelly Peterson posted up, her Reely shrimp, her orange Reelies are just started throwing babies. You can see how small they are here on this great little macro, and you can even comment, just like Savannah Morrow did right here. Oh, I heart the little shrimplets. With any luck, I'll have some red cherry shrimplets soon. Congratulations. So you guys can even ask questions on here, and people can help you out if, like, let's say I'm out in the field or something and I'm not around. Savannah Morrow last week was asking about her 4-leaf clover. She's having some problems with her 4-leaf clover. Wasn't growing properly, and wasn't. It's kind of dying off, and we didn't really have an answer for you last week, or sorry, earlier in the week. I think it was just earlier in the week. So she has 4-leaf clover. Now, one of the biggest things that is super confusing about 4-leaf clover is that like, that's the street name. You know, it's like the street name is 4-leaf clover. Check it out. It's awesome, right? And when there is no scientific name to the plant, it makes it pretty difficult. But one of the things that is, like, pretty helpful about the Patreon, which is very different than like YouTube and stuff like that, is that you can, like, post a picture up, and this is a perfect prime example of that, you know, she can actually post about what's going on with it, what it looks like, give us a breakdown of the tank. Like, look at all this information right here. pH sitting at 7.2, crushed coral in the filter, snails and guppies and plants and everything else seems to be doing pretty well. You know, here's the dosing information. So easy green, iron, root tabs, plant substrate with gravel cap, medium lighting. So there's a lot going on here. And also, you can actually kind of check out what's going on with the plant, you know, because we have a picture. We have a couple of pictures here. Now, the first thing that pops into my head from seeing these pictures is that this is probably a fairly new to being underwater and being submerged plant. It does not look that this doesn't look that established. So my first thing is this is probably going to melt down from being a non-established plant. So that's going to be the first part. Now the second thing to bring up in regards to this is what kind of plant is it, and why did I make the assessment that it hasn't been underwater for very long? Well, this looks like Marsilea crenata would be my 99% guess what you have acquired here. Now, Marsilea crenata, or what is it, minimum or macronata, there's like a couple of them. Crenata is the most common one that you see out there because it does grow terrestrially. That's typically what is being sold, and because that's how the farms farm it, is with the plant actually being above water. When it grows above water up in the air, it grows like 4-leaf clover. That's how it looks. When it grows underwater, it doesn't have 4 leaves anymore. It's kind of weird. It's a weird plant that way. It actually grows with 1 and sometimes 2 leaves instead of 4, and they're much rounder when they're growing underwater, as opposed to the 4 leaves with the little nubbins on the ends and that kind of stuff, when it's a little bit bumpy, right? So it does grow differently underwater than it does up in the air, and that's what it looks like to me. What you have going on here is that you have a plant that's pretty much in conversion. You can actually see right here, so in comparison to the leaves that are up top, see how these are like look like a traditional kind of 4-leaf clover. You kind of come down here to these smaller leaves. This is sort of how it's starting to convert into a fully submerged plant. That's my guess right now, but that would be the best guess that I have as to regards to what's going on. But see how it's growing these little leaves now, as opposed to the other big wide leaves up there. It will eventually start growing low too if you pump enough light at it. It looks like it's just not getting enough light to really convert, although it does have some roots coming out of it, so it should probably get there over time. I would dump more light on it if at all possible. This one came in during the show, or sorry, right before the show. Mr. Chicken Lips 2 himself, super exciting, from Mr. Chicken Lips number 2 himself. Says, no matter what rotation I store this pic on my phone, it posts sideways. Oh, well, I have another couple hundred convict fry. Gonna have to find a hungry carnivore fish to feed. Robbie Taylor says, well, it was sideways while typing this post, but it corrected itself after I hit the post button. Yeah, I've definitely noticed that with some of the apps recently, that, like, it'll put it up there sideways, but then when I post it, it comes straight, which has led me to accidentally post some stuff upside down, which is a little bit frustrating. But, man, check out all these fry. Check out all these convict fry. Those are awesome. I just have to admit, it's one of my favorite things about cichlids is that you almost literally get, like, an explosion of fry when they show up. And it's almost, I mean, obviously there's breeding behavior and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm not discounting that, but this is how it feels like when you really are keeping, when you're keeping cichlids and you're sort of just in a rhythm of keeping them and not like, you know, really just staring at them all the time and figuring out exactly what they're doing. It's just like an explosion of fry all of a sudden. Who you're gonna feed them to? I don't know. I couldn't even give you any. But it sounds like you're gonna sort that out over time. All right. Well, that's all of our Patreon questions. I'm gonna run through the chat here real quick and hopefully make sure we got it. We got it to at least to a certain degree. I'm sorry. People were threatening to unsubscribe if I hit the mic again. I swear it was an accident. It just was not on purpose. I'm on here for multiple hours. It's going to happen from time to time, you know, goofy stuff. All right. Well, let's go back to here. Whoa, the regular show setting, because we have a bunch of super chats I got to get to, because these demand some attention right now. We've got an $8.27 super chat from Steve Quadrupled, the Shrimpy Super Shrimp Shrimpery and more. $8.27. That's a weird number. Saying not broken here, but I do not know about others. Apparently some people were wondering if the super chat button was broken. I don't know. I don't know, my man. It doesn't look like it's broken because you guys sent in new super chats, right? I have to do that though. Is it broken? Is the super chat broken? Barbara Jackson with the $1.99 super chat saying super chat not broken. Joel like avocados? I love avocados. Avocados are probably top 3 favorite food. Probably top 3 favorite food. Avocados for sure. Yes, I love them. I love them so much. I could eat avocado probably with just like every meal. You know. Kyle Paith with the $5.63 super chat says, super chat broken here, only letting me donate in odd numbers. All right. A way to up the ante, my brother. Thank you very much. Alvin Alejo with the $5 super chat saying, I want to do a 125-gallon outside the house. I live in North Carolina. What fish would you suggest or put in it yourself? I do have to admit, if I was going to do an outside tank or something like that, I would probably get some of those rice fish that Corey have. He's been overwintering them in his little outside ponds, and I am intrigued, to say the least, about those little rice fish, and they've done a fantastic job overwintering. They have not had a problem making it through the winter and breeding and eating and swimming and just doing all the fish stuff that the fish are supposed to do. What was that? I don't know what that was. Is that like a car reflection or something? I don't know. I don't know what that was. Like ghosts, man. I bet the ghost is here. I bet Frank let in a bunch of ghosts. But I would consider the rice fish, or maybe like a goldfish or a koi or something. You could definitely do some smaller koi and keep them in there for quite a long time. In a 125, you could probably do like 3 cool looking koi and just take really good care of them. They would be awesome. You could do some floating plants because it's outside. Yeah, that's probably the route that I would go if I was going to do that. I would suggest to put them in there, and that's probably what I would put in myself. Relic Turtle says, good stuff. Well, got to go back to work. Break is over. Next week's topic should be old movies. That'll probably come up again. As you guys know, I'm a big movie fanatic. It's one of the reasons why I like to make YouTube videos, because I never got hired to make a movie or anything like that. And I figure maybe if I make enough videos that someday I'll be able to make a movie or something. Who knows? It would be cool. Or I'll just keep making my own little movies, and then you guys can check them out on YouTube for free. BC Fish Room says, rice fish are super expensive in my area. Well, hey, those would be great fish to do, then, because then if you get them going, you get them breeding, keeping them healthy, you at least got a good commodity. You'll have yourself a good commodity to I don't know, maybe trade, or what is going on? The dog's is barking. Oh, someone's ringing the doorbell. A whole bunch of wild stuff going on out there right now. Not bad though, because Vicky's here and She'll karate chop anybody if they need it. Let's see here. Savannah says convict fish are jerks. Well, I don't know that they're jerks. That's a little extreme. They just come from a hardcore environment, really. So really the way I like to equate it. All right, we're coming up on the last 5 minutes of the show. Where did my timer go? Yep, we've got 5 minutes and 22 seconds left in the show today. So let's try to go in and answer some, I was going to say lightning round. Let's get some of those lightning round questions and try to get them. Potting soil is not meant to grow plants long-term either. It's the best to repot and replace it every couple of years as it breaks down and stops draining well. From Barbara Jackson, that is a great point. Potting soil needs to get replaced with just potted plants anyhow. You know what I mean? Mr. B's Fishing Things with a $2.79 Canadian-style super chat says, thanks for the chat. Get yourself some cookies. Oh, thank you very much. I'm definitely going to go over, and Victor sent me some cookies. If you guys know about the Amazon wish list, he sent me cookies, and Mr. Brown is very generous of Victor for sure. And I've still got a bunch of those cookies left because I am parsing them out over time. I'm definitely trying to, space them out as much as I can so I can make them last. They're better than Girl Scout cookies. That's just my opinion. Aquarium Co-op says, as Joel would say, here comes a hot tip. He's going live on the Instagrams if you want to hang out after this stream. So Corey from the Aquarium Co-op will be going live on the Instagrambles after this stream is over. So that's a big shout. Hey, Corey, get over there. Hashtag free plug. Instagrams going live. He's probably, if I had to guess, he's probably going to show you his giant clownfish or his giant clown loach fish. He doesn't have a saltwater clownfish. He has some giant clown loaches, and maybe if you go on there and ask about him a whole bunch, maybe he'll show them to you if he wasn't planning on doing that. But if he was, then that would make it super easy. Tyrone Wiley, Tyrone Wiley. I hope I got your name right. Was asking, I have fluorescent lights currently. What bulbs do you suggest? I would suggest the Geisman bulbs. They tend to work the best out of the ones. They are pretty expensive, but they have a tendency to work the best. If you're lucky enough to have a hydroponics store near you, you can get some knockoff plant grow bulbs. If you go there, almost any hydroponic store will have that, and those ones are probably a quarter of the price, but they're about a quarter as good. They do work well. I definitely use them for years and years and years. Dan Squire says you can get LED replacement lights that actually will go just like you're changing the light bulb. Those would be a good thing to possibly look up. You could probably find those on Amazon or something like that, and then you'd never really have to replace the lights ever again. One of the big reasons I stopped using fluorescent lights is, first of all, the disposal of those bulbs is super hard, and they don't last very long. They will illuminate and light up, but the par rating slowly, it just drops off. So having to replace them every 6 months was a big waste of money as far as I was personally concerned. So I actually switched over to the Fluval Fresh and Plant 2.0. Like, I don't know, definitely let's see, how long ago was that? 5 months ago? 4 months ago? Probably 5 months ago, something like that. Here is the quick Amazon link for the Fluval Fresh and Plants, or you can go through, maybe Mellow Moogle has it. Maybe Mellow Moogle has the link to the Aquarium Co-op. I find the Aquarium Co-op is even easier to order from, mainly because I'm like, oh, I need to get a plant or something, and they'll. Because if you get to $70 at the Aquarium Co-op, they ship for free. So that sort of negates the Amazon Prime thing, as far as I'm concerned. Because it's like, oh, those guys are going to ship for free. Oh, and I can order some like Anubius gold coin, which I'm super zazzed about right now. I'm super excited about Anubius gold coin. I don't know why, but I am. I'm very excited. But I switched over to those lights. I know that it's cost prohibitive for people, but it will definitely save you a lot of money in the long run and make things a bit easier for everybody. And Mello has the Fluval 3.0 link if you want to check that out. That one's awesome because it's Wi-Fi enabled, so you can actually control it by your phone. You don't need like a Wi-Fi adapter or anything like that. So now I have to admit that Fluval is super tripping because now I have all these great 2.0 lights, and the Wi-Fi adapters that I purchased don't work right. I'm trying, you guys. I'm trying to get them to work right so that I could make you guys a video on like how to make these work. But currently right now, I'd probably just make a video of me smashing the Wi-Fi controllers with a hammer, which is probably entertaining, but it seems like a waste of money and that kind of stuff, and I don't think it would really help anybody, but it would be kind of funny, I think. Oh, but the timer's going off telling me we're 2 hours in, which means we're going to have to go. We're going to have to say goodbye. But don't worry. You guys can go hang out with my homie Corey from the Aquarium Coop. Not only is he a great dude, he's a great human. He's also a great business owner and a very knowledgeable guy. So maybe if you have some leftover questions and you want to ask Corey, you can head over to the Instagrams. Check it out there. He's going to be broadcasting live. And tell him I sent you. Why not? Because it's hilarious. Was it frozen? I don't think so. All right, guys, love you very much. Have a fantastic weekend. Don't go shooting off any fireworks. We do know that it is St. Patrick's Day. Take it easy out there if you're going to be out there partying or anything like that. Take a taxi, take an Uber. Take it easy. Don't go crazy. I know it feels like amateur hour, and sometimes at amateur hours, people freak out and go crazy and go over the edge, and don't go over the edge, you guys. Just have a good time. Just have a good time out there. Have a little bit of fun. Maybe eat some mashed potatoes, some shepherd's pie or something like that. That'd be fantastic. And I'll talk to you all later.